Hi guys, get ready with me to talk about Scientology again. So when I sat down with you guys last time, that was my first draft of this. This is my final project. I probably won't be talking about this topic again, but it was fun while it lasted, so let's get ready together one last time. So as you guys know from the last video that I posted about this, oh great, I'm like out of moisturizer. Anyway, so what you guys know from last time is I went down to the Scientology church that's here in Phoenix off of 44th Street. And honestly, now that I'm kind of looking back at it again and just kind of reliving it, I noticed like more things about it, like going back and like reliving it. I repeated myself a lot in that sentence just now. But anyways, moving on. I noticed a lot too that like when my friend and I were in there was just like, it was kind of not eerie, but like it just had that kind of vibe. And like I'm not saying that in like a bad way or anything, but it was very eerie, just him and I just being like the only people in there. But it was still pretty cool too. I didn't get to mention this in the last one that I had made, but they have their chapel like outside of the church, but we couldn't go in there because the lady that was giving us the tour, she didn't have her keys on her, so she was like, no, we can't go in. But then she was like, you know, we have church and chapel open to the public on Sundays, and I was like, okay. But anyways, some of the stuff that was in a lot of the informational videos that they had were a lot about how, let me find the word, hold on. They were a lot about how to achieve like pretty much like peak happiness, if that makes sense. Basically, like the whole goal behind Scientology is to try and find that like happiest self, like the better version of who you are. And so a lot of the informational videos had topics touching on like, oh, how can you react to situations in a certain way? How can you communicate better? And they have this concept called Dianetics, and it's basically the release of any sort of like suppressed trauma that you have that's affecting the way that you handle situations. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had gotten from those videos, because I was like, this is really, really interesting actually. It was kind of one of those things that made you kind of stop and think and be like, is this why I'm reacting to situations the way I'm reacting to things? But no, other than that, it was pretty cool. They had a bunch of like pamphlets and stuff. I was going to like take pamphlets to like try and like show you guys, but I didn't know if you had to like pay for them or anything, and I really wasn't like in the mood to do that. But yeah, like I mentioned before, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff surrounding it. Like there wasn't a lot of things to look at. Like there wasn't a ton of like, other than the videos and all of the stuff on the walls and everything like that in the pamphlets, like there wasn't a ton of stuff to like interact with. But if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I mean, just for, you know, whatever, just like the joy of it, not like, oh, you know, I'm interested in joining Scientology. More like, you know, if you're kind of a freak and like this kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend going to see it, because it is pretty interesting. They have a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, like I mentioned before, everyone was pretty nice that we met and very helpful. I don't really understand like how Scientologists do get that bad rap of like, oh, they're aggressive and they're rude and all that stuff, and they try to push their religion on you. Like, I didn't get that vibe at all. And honestly, it just makes me a little sad, because I'm like, oh, are we still saying stereotypes in the big 25? Like, I thought we were past that. But needless to say, I was glad that I didn't go alone, because I feel like I would have felt a little unsafe and out of place if I didn't go with someone else. Let me rephrase that, because I feel like unsafe is not the best word to use here. I just would feel very kind of like uncomfortable. But like previously mentioned, when I talked to Ginny, the woman that I interviewed, if you haven't seen the first part, I guess, she was really, really good about giving me the proper insight to like what Scientology is and her experiences, and I really, really enjoyed talking to her. And just to briefly summarize just some of the things that I had gone over with her, was she said that she felt within joining Scientology, that she felt very like in touch with herself and very in touch with her emotions, and her communication skills are better. She feels more confident in handling like tough situations. And I think that that is a very important aspect of like remembering that Scientology isn't just like, it's not like a cult, it's not just like a religion, okay? It's like, you know, this is like genuinely helping people. And she didn't touch on any sort of like sensitive aspects of like, you know, oh, is Scientology a cult, or, you know, that stuff. But she did touch on subjects like, you know, Scientologists, we aren't forced into anything. Everything that we do is strictly voluntary. Like, we choose to do everything that we do. And I think that's such a good thing to like preach to an audience, is like, you know, don't believe everything that you see on the internet, or, you know, don't believe that everybody tells you just based on a certain stereotype or based on a certain idea. And I know that I said all of this before, and it's probably sounding really repetitive right now. But yeah, going into this, I didn't really have a lot of knowledge about the religion, and I feel like I'm coming out of it still wanting to learn more and, you know, keeping an open mind. And I think that's one of my biggest takeaways. Like, I feel now that I can, you know, go into more situations and more observations with a open mind, and just remembering that, like, okay, like, you can have these certain opinions, but they're probably not going to be true. Or they might be, you never know. But overall, I got a lot out of going to see the Church of Scientology, and, you know, I got a lot from the information. I got a lot from Jenny and my girl Jillian, who works at the information center. But yeah, if you guys are interested in any of this, I would definitely go take a look and walk around the Church of Scientology over here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's very informational. You might walk away with something, you might not. I don't know. Well, I think that's all for now, but I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the first part. And if you want more videos like this, let me know. I'll see you guys later.